These are some stories I've written. This one is called Finding Home. I was homesick. It was 1958. I was 9 years old. I'd been banished to summer camp for 2 months. My folks were traveling. It would be among strangers at camp. I wasn't happy. So I wrote my friend's mom. They lived across the street from us in Yuma, Arizona. I kept the letter she wrote me in reply. In it, she reminded me of who I was, encouraged me to live up to my name. That meant welcoming newcomers to camp, showing them how to have a good time. By the end of that 2 months, I was having a good time. Her letter helped. She believed in me. I witnessed homesickness again with Lula, my mother-in-law. Dementia meant that she could not live on her own anymore. She moved in with us. There were times she became restless. She'd tell me I want to go home. Usually I would remind her she was home. She lived with her son Ricky and me now. But one day I didn't. I said, okay, let's go. She grabbed her cane and out we went. She looked around, puzzled. She didn't know where to go. It was as if the image in her mind had dissolved. We went back inside. I told her, I know you want to go home to Papa and Mama, Lula, with your brothers and sisters. They've all gone now, but they're waiting for you at that picnic in the sky that Michael talks about. They're waiting for you and your peach cobbler. Lula, how did you learn to bake so good? And we would talk about her childhood in Oklahoma with her mama and papa and brothers and sisters, where she learned to cook and bake the food she was known for, from biscuits to cobblers and cakes. I knew there was no earthly cure for her homesickness, but sharing those memories helped. Another thing that helped was sharing faith. Lula subscribed to the Daily Word. It was a devotional mailed to her monthly. From time to time, I'd read it aloud with her. It would settle both of us. I'd remind her what her papa said. If you're going to pray, why worry? If you're going to worry, why pray? Home is where these dichos sprout, those spoken gems of wisdom that are repeated and passed on to guide us, to comfort us. Cousin Cynthia does that when she reminds me how to make it through these coronavirus days. Live within the grace of one day. Because Cynthia said it, I believe I can find that grace. Dichos also encourage, as Lula's mama, Grandma Jackson, does. With her 17 children, she would say, if there's room in the heart, there's room in the house. Dichos can be understated too. As Cousin Michael says, I make every effort to think the best about everybody. They don't always give me a lot to work with. And Cousin Pat, she keeps me humble and thankful. You cannot outgive God. And then my husband, Rick, he advises, you treat people nice, you never know what they might do. He also says, know when you have enough to run with and start running. The way I see the world comes from home. It's where my moral fiber, my sense of duty was strengthened, where family values take root. My mom had strong opinions, especially about common courtesies. When we have guests, she says, ask about their interests. Give them your undivided attention. It's where I learned to be curious about others, learned how to hold a conversation, and how to listen as a common courtesy. It's also where I learned a lesson in home economics, to live within my means. Becoming who I am is a process of discovery. I only feel real to the degree that I am known. At home, I become real, degree by degree, as others see me and acknowledge me. The world outside may deny or reject me, but at home, my success is affirmed. My daughter tells me home is a sanctuary, a place where my mind and body are completely at ease, where my senses and creativity have outlets. Home's also a person, my daughter, Jill. It was a spring day in Tucson in the year 2016. Jill and I stood in the empty kitchen. Mom had died an hour ago, 2 days before her 91st birthday. Jill held me silently. I wept. Jill never let me go. Home, that kind of comfort. And another person too, a fellow student. He never failed to show up to class with homemade food to share. When he was in your sights, you knew you were home. I asked Rick where home was for him. He didn't miss a beat. On 2nd Avenue and a pot of beans on the stove when I come home at night. Home was safe and nourishment. Someone prepared it for you, cared enough about you to do those things. Home's also where we learn to get along with each other, where unruly impulses are tamed, or tuned up, as Rick would say. You ever had a tune-up? Now, there's more than one way to accomplish a tune-up. Rick once observed a child who needed one. He told the mother he needs a nap or a slap. I left home in Yuma for good when I was 22 years old, settled in Los Angeles, eager to explore a more diverse world. It was more diverse. It's where I married, where I had a daughter. It's also where I stifled a certain unease. After our daughter was born, I pushed to move. I was homesick for the wide open desert spaces, the clear blue skies of Arizona. I couldn't raise our daughter in air that was toxic. Jill was 3 years old when we moved from Silver Lake to Malibu. Air was cleaner. The wide open desert became the wide open sea. Rick planted palms and giant birds of paradise. Now they tower over and surround our home. Santa Ana winds bring desert warmth, rustle our palms, and rattle our windows. Orion's belt moves across summer nights, winter nights. Scorpio travels summer nights. Friends gather around a fire pit where worries dissolve. Yet home is also Cactus Forest Trail in Arizona, where I walk with my other friends. The barrel cacti, the cholla, the prickly pear, the saguaro, the mesquite, with birds and snakes, Gila monsters and jackrabbits, with javelina and deer too. Rick and I are in our 70s now. At home, we're perfecting the art of dolce far niente, the sweetness of doing nothing. Or maybe that's another way of saying we're learning to slow down, to relax, to make room for other dreams. Yet, like Lula, home for me will always be Arizona's desert and my mom and dad. Since their passing, I've been homesick for their love, their complete acceptance. Or maybe I'm just homesick for the journey to come. Time will tell. But as Rick says, home is where stories begin. My story began in Yuma with my folks who believed in service and courtesies. My next one began when I met Rick, rooting and sprouting in his family, a story shot through with hustle, with the resistance and strength needed to succeed in a culture that profiled you, denigrated you, threatened you. I'm twice blessed. I left one loving home and found another in the man I married and his family. That second story jumped up my process of becoming. I've become more than I ever dreamed, and I've melded my stories together to make home where I belong. It's a good day.